Next, we continue our program to the last session for this slot. Before the call of the speech begins, I would like to share the background of our speakers for our second session, which is impact of coronavirus towards the construction industry. The name given is Dato Sr. Zulkefli bin Muhammad Zain. He has academic qualifications in quantity surveying. Gladly, I would like to share his experience, I would like to share his working experience, which is as a managing director at Mecca Ventures Sdn Bhd, as a property investor in managing director at Luxury Corridor Sdn Bhd, as a quantity surveyor in design cost consultant, last but not least, as an external examiner at Department of Quantity Surveying, Faculty of Architectural Planning and Surveying, University Technology Mara, UITM Shah Alam. Without further ado, we would like to call upon Dato Sr. Zulkefli bin Muhammad Zain to deliver his talk.
Hello, can I start?
Yes, Dato.
Is okay now?
Yes,
Yeah,
clear.
Dato, can.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everybody. And I'm very pleased to be able to be together with you. In fact, I've seen here there are almost 285 participants right now. This is indeed a very a great seminar conducted by the faculty, and I would like to thank the faculty for the great effort that they have done in ensuring this seminar a success one. Okay, without further ado, I would like to talk about what I'm entrusted to give a little bit of share information with you all. So basically, it is about a topic that was given to me, impact of coronavirus towards the construction industry. So I have not much time to, like a doctor just now, to do some research on it. So what I'm going to share with you today is basically what I personally experienced during the COVID-19, an experience of my business associate, and as well an experience of corporate leaders who are actually my friends, and some information that I gather from the what it calls my customers who visited my business outlet. So I will continue with an introduction. As you all aware that as taken from New Straits Times in September 2020, has been stated by the Minister of Works, the losses due to COVID-19 were recorded amounting to 18.5 billion in a spread of 1.5 months. That may be translated into between 150 to 200 billion in a year, the losses, if this does not check, whereby the used to be activity has been curtailed, and we might be experiencing that losses. That alone is about what is going on. What about those projects that is already in the pipeline were deferred in terms of its implementation? Then the amount of losses will be huge, and the country, in my opinion, cannot sustain any more longer than 6 months or maximum 1 year to shoulder these losses, not only to the government, but to the people in the construction industry. So this is a very serious issue, unprecedented before, then required thought and improvement from everybody to ensure that we help the government overcome the situation that we are in now. Next, please. The most significant impacts were caused by financial issues, project delivery, and labor constraint. As you can see that as far as financial issues is concerned, this already kicked back way back and at the ends of 2018, at the 2019, whereby the amounts of loan disbursed through the bank has been reduced tremendously, and as well as far as buyers is concerned, the criteria of 30% of the net income has caused so much trouble to the buyers, and based on Prima experience, they have found out that on the first launch, only 15 to 20% are eligible to purchase, and the rest of it found it to be unable to by virtue of the stringent requirement imposed by the financial institution. On the other side, that has been stated by the minister that the labor wages at the rate of 30% has been reduced, which costing about 3.3 billion in 1.5 month period of times. And then the construction industry on the material side has reduced by 42%, amounting to 4.6 billion. That means if in a year, we may be losing something like 50 billion of this materials industry related to construction. You can imagine how big it is. Next. Further to that, CIDB recorded in April 20 to September 20, there are 7,590 construction sites nationwide being inspected, and found 149 sites still has not resumed operation. If these 149 sites were actually registering 1 million progress of work a month, that means we are losing something like 149 million, close to 150 million a month of productivity. And in a year, we're talking about over billions, 1.5 billion losses in terms of productivity by non-performance of this construction work at site. And then one of the reasons that highlighted why they are not able to start work is due to the fact that funding are not available, and where payment also sometimes were not timely paid to them. Next. Because of the pandemic, the cash flow in the whole supply chain was affected. Usually claim, as you always aware, is within the contract within a month, but normally it takes between 2 to 6 months, and by virtue of that, the amount of money that goes to the coffer of the contractor become less and less, and over a period of time, definitely that will affect the progress of the work at site. And in overall, then the productivity of the construction industry will definitely affected. And then on the same note of September 9, 2020, the minister also mentioned about the declinations of this construction industry is about 44.5%, or almost half of the work related to construction industry were not actually activated. You can imagine how many billions of losses as to the productivity, and how many people will be affected by this reduction in productivity. I will talk about that further, the effect of this one based on my observation. Next. This is slowness of construction activity. There are 8 points that I would like to touch here based on real experience of mine. First of all, why it is slowness happen? Because as I mentioned just now in the preambles, it is the movement control order. Because of that, that's why we are experiencing this unproductive construction activity. Item number 2, less demand on property as buyers sideline. This could be many reasons. One of the reasons is that the buyer is not certain whether we already hit the rock bottom price. And they might thinking that the price might be going down further by virtue of the situation. So as such, many buyers do not intend to participate and purchase a new product or new property unless and until they are very sure, or unless and until that the location of the project is the one that they are looking at. Other than that, I believe based on Prima and a few big time 10 top big developer in the country, they are experiencing something like between 30 to 60% down in their overall takeoff. This is very serious, and of course, because of that, the chain reaction will be the construction industry will be affected greatly. Item number 3 is difficult to obtain finance. This is transcend not only to the buyer, as I mentioned just now. The buyer find it very difficult to obtain finance. Worse still, because of the COVID, many people do not have a job or has been reduced their salary or income, and as such, their capabilities of purchasing has diminishing over a period of time. Then more and less people are available in the market to buy the property because of the finance issue. On the other hand, as been narrated to me by my friend who are in what he calls machineries leasing and rental activities, he has to pay something like 500,000 a month, and leasing and financing are not covered by the moratorium, and he has experienced reducing something like 60% of he used to be, and then affecting him on his capability to pay the monthly. And you can imagine that particular machine now lying low without any job, and because of that, he almost bankrupt after 6 months. And we have discussed at length with him, and somehow or other, he managed to pull him through by reducing tremendous amount of rentals and lease to be paid. Of course, without getting a profit, but just enough to sustain and pay three-quarter of the value of the 500,000 that he has to pay monthly. And he has spent 20 million in investing to this situation. So you can imagine how difficult he is, and he never thought of to be in a situation whereby a good business suddenly become a business that make him a bankrupt person. Number 4, too many property overhang. Before MCO in 2019 and 2018, there are billions of property overhang in the market. This is a very serious issue, and it is even experienced not only by the small property developer. Worse still, it is experienced by big-time developer. In fact, to manage the overhang property is become very difficult for them, until such that there is no need for them to even launch a new project until the overhang issues has need to be settled. So this is the serious situation in the country. Before COVID do set in, we already have a problem in terms of overhang property. If I'm not mistaken, more than 10 billion overhang property will not be able to be sold in the market, let alone to introduce a new one in the market. Number 5, attitude of buyer or seller. As I mentioned just now, wait and see approach, whether we are really at the rock bottoms of the price, or we're going to be what it calls heading towards headwinds in front of us. So by virtue of that, those who have the money or ability to pay would like to see the situation until they are very certain, only then they start investing. This attitude caused so much reduction in the buyer demand. On item 6, government reduced spending on developments. I made to understand from JKR that almost 50% of the developments undertaken by them has been reduced. And government is the biggest employer in the construction industry. When they are reducing development expenditure, it is of course for certain it will greatly affect the construction industry as far as development is concerned. And item 7, private sector defer launching new property because of overhang, too much overhang, difficulties to sell, and then uncertainties in terms of the what they call the construction activity that being carried out, and increase in price of the what they call construction to a certain extent by virtue of the imposition of the requirements by the government due to the MCO, whereby distancing, swab checking, and then the numbers of people allowed to work at any time being reduced tremendously, make the what they call the productivity reduce, and the time taken to complete the very same thing maybe take 50% more, and make all this thing, make all this become the cost of the construction increasing. And for those already in constructive business, they also start claiming for loss and expense under these circumstances, delay in reducing in the productivity, delay in completion, as well as the unavailability of these workers, because majority of these foreign workers has left the country or not in the position to be allowed to work at the site. So all this has create a havoc in the construction industry to a certain extent, whereby there's a lot of legal battle happening in the market. And this is good thing for me because this is the area that I'm providing to the industry. So I can divert myself by providing these kind of services. And of course, the item 8, loss of job, which reduce potential demand. As you're well aware, there are over 50,000 SME, a small and medium enterprise, were closed down. More than 50,000. If this 50,000 company employ 10%, there are 500,000 employed by SME already out of job. You can imagine the situation that they are facing at the moment. And all those are the people who actually the one could become a potential buyers to the project that the developer launched. So these are basic observation of mine. Of course, there are a lot of other things involving various sectors, manufacturers, suppliers, consultants, contractors, developers, financiers, which are having a lot of other issue and problems attributed to this COVID. But I would like only to share with you what I experienced, and then the rest of it, maybe you'll be able to find yourself through internet or any other mediums of information. I'll go to the next item. Business is expected, a general statement, 30 to 40%. With work from home will be next available way of doing things. But construction jobs are required work to be implemented at site, except for the pre-construction management and back office teams. For this, based on my experience in months of March and April, where we actually exercising the work from home, I'm as an employer found out to be not that favorable to me. I'm sorry to say this, because I found out that 2 months when my staff start carrying out their work at their house, the productivity is very low, whereas I still have to pay the same amount as far as salary is concerned. This could be due to the fact that at home, there are a lot of extracurricular activities compared to the environment in the office. And as such, they cannot concentrate well at home, especially if they have a small kid and which demands their time and whatnot. So I found out at the end of the 2 months, they does not achieve my KPI, and there's a lot of errors in their works. So maybe because of the circumstances, I'm of the opinion work from home not that effective unless and until they discipline themselves, has been mentioned by doctor just now, that they really understand the situation. They really like as if they are working, even though they are at home, as being mentioned just now. If without that discipline, which discipline very difficult to instill, I still feel work from home not that favorable to me. Thanks. Next. Now, these are the thing that the one that I mentioned just now. Majority of you are well aware about the situation, but the lesson learned probably that the one that I would like to talk more, because this is the one that really based on what I experience right now. First of all, diversify business model. In here, I would like to suggest to the construction industry or to those people who are having business at the moment to start thinking diversifying. Diversifying in not in the sense that you must go doing other business. No. First of all, you must do is to diversify within your own way of doing things. What I'm trying to advise here, based on my business, it's a very important that while waiting for job to be made available to you, it is best for one who has business to create their own job. This could be done in many ways. I will explain further. Or venture into untapped business using current experience and resources. With the experience that you have, you can venture into other business because the business model could be the same. The parameter in which the business to be conducted only different. For this one, based on my experience, from March until now, early December, I have created a way to overcome of the, because I haven't got any new job for the year 2020 and had to pay quite a lot for my overhead. And I feel that if I don't do something, I'll be in trouble because as we mentioned just now, not much job in the market. What I'm doing is that I'll go around, look for the information available, be it private and government. I'll notify that there are a few companies now is in trouble, not because they are not good in their business, but because of the circumstances that they are in. And somehow or other, they do not have enough, what it calls a capital to put them through for 1 or 3 months. Majority of them cannot sustain the first 1 month. And the other people say that not more than 10% or 20% the most can sustain more than 3 months without getting paid. So judging from that, it is the payment that causing them into trouble. It is not because the business is not good. So I came into an idea whereby I found out that somewhere in one of the state in the country, having a business of a small hospital. I cannot tell you the project because it is now I'm at the final list of being awarded. So I do not want to disturb the situation. It's already in business for 24 years. Unfortunately, they're always in the red. So I've started thinking if I could approach them, then start MBO, management buyout. So, but in this way, I would call it taking over the operations and the managements of the hospital. Then I may be able to do it and purchase it or taking over the right of the hospital at the rock bottom price with 24 years of experience, with the 54 numbers of staff, doctors, nurses, and supporting staff, and then the goodwill that they have, and then join that with another branded hospitals. And then fortunate enough that I managed to convince the branded specialist hospital to work with me. And then we managed to approach the government on this one, and they are much into it now. With your all dua and prayers, I hope I'll somewhere in January or February, I'll have one small hospital with one very good brand partners of mine to be in operation. And this can bring me 3 important things. One of it, the consultancy activities. Second, the construction activities because I'm a contractor. Third, the new venture that I mentioned to you just now, using very little capital whereby I'm using little capital that I have together with the capital of my specialist partner, together with the purchasing of the equipment through leasing, where the payment method could be by way of monthly payment that can last between 5 to 7 years. So by the time I believe COVID-19 could be over, the vaccine could be made available in the market, then by that time, I may be able to pay all those things. So this is the improvisation that I've done in my company by creating own job, venture into untapped business using current experience and resources. The second part is very important now for the student. Now is a MCO time. You are at home. There's a lot of what I call free time, so to speak. Uh, in this situation, everybody play an important role to improve oneself. And by doing that, you are improving the situation of the what it calls people in the country. It is a very important that the student from now understand what is lacking on your side. If you feel that you are not good in certain area, you must make yourself study beyond what was the lectures given. It is about time. If your English is not good, you better do that. Find your ways. If you think in order for you to be the one accepted out of so many student engineering that are going to be out soon in 2021 or 2020, then you must prepare yourself to make sure that you have all the necessary ingredient beyond the others, and you must improve yourself by knowing what is lacking of you. Go for short courses, go for interaction, go for find a job, a short time, a part time, in whatever ways, so that by doing that, you improve your confidence, you improve your situation where you are lacking at, you improve in what it calls knowledge, and of course the very important thing, you improve the interpersonal skill, where the interpersonal skill sometimes is the in things what the employer looking at you. So don't waste your time sleeping. Don't waste your time do unnecessary. Don't waste your time looking at the what they call the Facebook, whatever. More improve yourself. This is have to be a self-reliant, self-discipline, self-control, and self-desire to be what it calls catapult yourself to another level using the free time created by God at the moment. So don't waste it. You got nothing by doing nothing, but you got everything by doing something, even though as little as you thought might be, because you are already 1 or 2% ahead of your friend by doing things that the others are not doing. Because at this time in my office, I told them that I never retrench staff. And at the same time that I told my staff, we must do R&D at this current moment. We must provide an extra mileage to our client, because there are many people who are actually reducing numbers of staff, unable to provide good services. We must go and do good services. I start plowing money, my own capital, to ensure that we are actually on top of the hill, so that when the economy are good, we will be the one next to the developer to be chosen among the rest, because the rest still struggle to improve themselves. So I believe in it. I believe in knowledge. I believe in R&D. I believe in proactive action, and I believe in the future always there for people who like to strike and believe and showing that they have all the ability and ingredient to be one. Of course, the third one is technology savvy. I do not want to mention about this because what I'm going to tell here is already been mentioned by the ending speech of the any lecture by Doctor just now. And then we also like to talk about divide business into derivable income from contract and recurring. What is mistake that I have done previously is that I'm relying too much on the contract projects. Whereas to sustain this COVID situation, what we need to do is actually to divide our overall income derivable from the company into two sectors. It could be good 50-50, 50% from contract, 50% from recurring income. That also become what it calls a thing that being carried out by big time developers, where when they develop the whole flash of their property and what they call launches in the market, they will retain between 5 to 10% of the property and expecting to give them a recurring income through long-term lease or rental. because of the situation whereby if they cannot launch a project in the future, the recurring income will be the one helping them to pay their overhead, or the one that they hold may increase in terms of price value. Then when they upload into the market, they will benefit of the extra that they obtain through the extra value over a period of time. And then the recurring income also that I mentioned just now, to the one that I mentioned, I'm in the construction industry. I have to go for doing projects like hospital that I mentioned just now. This hospital is not big hospital. We want to turn it into a boutique hospital with one or two clusters of specialization only. And by doing that, I can have a recurring income that will support my business, the main business that I have in the construction industry. Or at the end of the day, the hospital will become the main, and the construction industry will become my recurring income. So these are the things that I found out that most of the corporate players are doing it. They are looking for recurring income. Of course, the next one is a create niche market and improve demand. This is very important. People start thinking about to create a niche market is through the online business or e-commerce. This is very good. We also in our restaurant business, maybe 10% of our business is relying on the Grabs and Food Panda. But that's also improve our demand, because at the moment, by virtue of the MCO, the numbers of seats available in my restaurant has been reduced into half. So dine-in per people will be less, and we experience something like 20% less people join in our outlet. But Food Panda and Grabs do improve our sale. So as such, we balance out, even though we still experience some kind of reduction in terms of sale. But as far as the construction industry is concerned, to improve demand, that could be more towards IBS in my opinion, because IBS, if we really improve our industry in IBS with the help of the design using technology like BIM, that can reduce the times of pre or design stage into something like 30% at least. And then the construction activity can also enjoy at least 30% what they call lesser time to construct. And then the most important thing is that better quality and less defect, when defect is involving time, frustration, and money. And all in all, this could improve demand, whereby if there is a careful again after this MCO happen, this can be absorbed by those people in this IBS and BIM industry, and then they are the one who can what they call leapfrog the percentage of the progress of the work. If you go for conventional, we still takes a longer time to design, longer time to construct, but they are the one who can cut all this, and then we can go back to the situation where we are in before the COVID-19. And then involved in new venture, this has been mentioned in, as I mentioned, a diversified business model just now. And of course, the other important human capital development is a very wrong at a very bad time like this. People do not spend to improve the capabilities of their staff. Or as far as student is concerned, it is wrong for you not to have a full-time lecture as you used to be, and not to have all the thing that you want to do in the lab, put you in a situation whereby you do not want to develop yourself. Please develop yourself by reading. There's a lot of information in the internet that you could read and gather a lot of information. You go to various board, various professional body, various research done by various university, research done by individual, research done by your own lecturers at your own university. This is the time for you to browse through the world of information from the internet, from your home, without being disturbed. Getting those information, I believe, trust me, you will become somebody. You will become very knowledgeable. You become anything that you are interested to know more, you can better search. The engine of search is available in front of you. Just a click of a button. And you can have all the information from notable university researcher, from notable person, from notable industry, be it local or international. Please browse through and read yourself an area of your interest, be it contract, be it construction, be it civil engineering, be it mechanical and electrical, be it project management, be it a matter pertaining to food, or be it about managing, about human capital. Those are the information. If you have the desire, you can click and found this information from a notable person, and you know that by having that, you always have the best knowledge out of something that you're curious to know. So these are the things, my sincere advice to all the students. Please take this opportunity to improve at least 20% of your marketability. Because as far as I'm concerned in my office, I never retrench people. We start investing, recruit some new people if at all able. And at the same time, we also encourage them to improve by working extra hours so that all the work can be completed instead of what I call shorten their time period. Next one. You can ask me after this little bit about legals, because legal is always contract is always my forte. I'm very much in the legal matters. So the current COVID-19 pandemic, which had resulted in movement control (MCO), call for the need of specific law to be enacted to provide legal shield. It is very important for the future for any contract that you want to develop. You must have some kind of COVID-19 or any other matter similar to COVID-19, so that every party to the contract will be protected at the very end of the drafting of this agreement. The other part that this should offer legislative protection to contractor from legal consequences arising from failure or inabilities to perform their contractual obligation, scheduled performance during this period. As of the current contract, there are some contract that provide through force majeure item that can provide certain kind of shield to the contractor, but there are also contract on a small type. These provisions are not provided, but there are provisions provided by the government during the government contract to provide some kind of relief in terms of time to be given extra to the contractors. And of those things could be those who do not have this provision negotiated with the other party so that this could be included. Or if at all this being failed, please test this in the court. I think that you still have the opportunity to be given some kinds of relief should you bring this matter to court. The third item is that the need for such legislation is to resuscitate the economy, which has now been ravaged by pandemic, causing unprecedented and unforeseeable economic and social impact. The legislation is very important. Government also is drafting the contract, the legal matters. I believe whether this one can be implemented or otherwise, I'm not sure, whereby nobody will be get the order of bankruptcy or the delay in the production, in the construction to a certain extent. Relief has to be given so that by virtue of that, the developer who delay in handing over the property by virtue of the delay in the construction will not come after developer for compensation. This is a very, very important so that the downstream people and the upstream people is actually being protected fairly so that the economy can be recover well. And of course, the other part is a disruption of supply chain, manpower shortage, the closing of offices, factories, and suspension of construction works on site are among the serious consequences. I have a very great opportunity meeting a lot of people who having problem with this one. I just to give you 1 or 2 minutes to share with you my experience. And yesterday, is a leading steward working with Masa has been retrenched, who own between 10 to 15,000 a month, and having lunch in my office and my restaurant, and the bill is about 18 ringgit and 50 cent. But before he paid at the counter, he told me that he really hoped that I could help him somehow or other. But I told him at the moment not yet, but if there is, I'm going to help him. And by virtue pity on him, I just give discount of $3.50 only out of 18 ringgit and 50 cent. You know what he said to me? He took my hand and shake it, and he kissed my hand. You can imagine just $3.50, so much grateful to these people who earn 10 to 15,000 previously. So those now having the opportunity to have an income, for the student who having the opportunity, what they call allowed to study, please review your position so that you can improve yourself. Think about those people that I mentioned just now, and there are a lot of people there, and there are people who working with my other outlet that I share with somebody else, become the leading steward, just serving, what they call, or become an restaurant assistant. Used to be men by the foreigners. Now they are there to do it just to survive. Please think about it. Next one. So this is the last topic that I'm going to say. I feel very as if I'm talking myself because there's no response at all from anybody, unlike the one.
No, Dato, we are all here. Trust me, we are all here. All
Okay.
the help in rupture we got talk.
Okay, thank you very much. The first measure that I mentioned just now is that contractually COVID-19 may give rise the ability of the affected parties to use this provision in mitigating loss and or expense. So the word here is that the force majeure clause in the PAM form of contract, in the PWD form of contract, or even in FIDIC form of contract, can certain extent relieve the affected parties to use this provision, maybe not covering all, but mitigating loss and or expense, or other associated risks that they have suffered. So should everybody having this problem, or for academic purposes, these are the clauses that you all should know in the circumstances like COVID-19 can be used. In other words, force majeure always being termed as in insurance act of God. But I don't like to use the word act of God because I don't like to blame the God for any situation that we are in. They are advised to take the following action if the force majeure were in the contract. First, review the said provision in their contract and to check its reliability. What I'm trying to say here is that whether we are in the position actually to invoke the force majeure to mitigate our loss and expense due to the pandemic situation as being this thing actually being announced by the government. The moment it's being announced by the government, it is no longer beyond one's ability to control. It's a third-party matters. Then I believe force majeure can come into force and be used as a tool to mitigate your loss or expense. The other one is check whether any limitation or timeless to involve the force majeure clause. What I'm trying to say is that if there is a force majeure in your contract, is the force majeure in the contract to certain extent giving you some kind of limitation in terms of time for you to implement. For instance, failure for you to apply of your right to inform the other party of your intention to use this force majeure for your loss and expense, then let's say 3 months within the what they call the event took place, but you have not put in your what they call intention to claim within that period, then you might not have the right to do it. However, by virtue, this is a prolongation exercise by the government and keep on what it calls a government declaration, gazetted, not only declaration, it's being gazetted. It's being gazetted under helps situation. You may want to pursue this matter, and I believe the other parties of the contract also is in the position to understand the situation. What we need to do is that to implement what called willing buyer, willing seller situation by having supplemental agreement to allow the extra timeline to be implemented so that you are not not allowed to claim because of the time bar. The next one is that consider whether contract require parties to take any mitigating measures. What we're trying to say is that some contracts said even though those things are there, the burden to prove is that whether the party who are aggravated by the situation that you are in is actually has taken necessary step and action to ensure that the mitigating exercise for the party supposed to pay and absorb the mitigating has been carried out. In a simple term here is that if you are the contractor, not be able to complete the job because of the COVID situation, the client or the client or the order want to know whether you have taken the necessary step to reduce the potential losses on the part of the client. If you have done that and you are unable to do further by virtue of the circumstances that deemed to be good enough, that mitigating exercise or measure has been taken by you, and that can give rise of your right to invoke force measure for you to get some relief on the loss and expense that you incur during the COVID-19. Last not least, consider including or expanding force measure provision, expressly covering the eventualities of pandemic and restricted movement order in new contract. As I mentioned just now, those who's drafting the contract, not only talking about pandemic, talking also about a word that can cover things that we cannot foresee at the current moment may happen in the future, like this unprecedented COVID-19. With that, I end my talk today, and I would like to thank the university and the faculty for inviting me to this talk. Even though it is going to be a lesson learned for me in a COVID-19 situation, and I'm very pleased for this opportunity, and I really hope that little bit of information that I shared can bring some benefit to you. And I most welcome question if there is any, or some comment what I have said, so that we can improvise the point that I've raised. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you to Dato SR Zulkefli bin Muhammad Zain for the beneficial sharing just now. The program continues with a Q&A session by the participants. For attendees and students who are interested in asking questions are welcome to ask questions, or you can leave the questions in the chat room.
Okay.
Here, I would like to share the questions asked by the students, which is this challenge of going through COVID-19? What are the steps that postgraduates need to provide for themselves when engaging in the world of construction?
What is the? Can you repeat? I don't got it. Hello, can you repeat the question, please? Can you hear me?
In this challenge of going, yes, in this challenge of
the line is not that clear. I cannot hear. Never mind. While waiting for that, I have a few questions here that in my laptop. First, from Dr. Panel, I believe. Dato, in your opinion, how long it will take for economy to recover? I've talked to the industry player, like the chairman, the CEO of DRB, CEO of UMW, and then and other parties. And if the movement control order being relieved, and then there's not going to be further than December, they expect that we need at least between 9 to 15 months to recover to a period of before pandemics. So that's I can answer that question. Second question from Andre Kusbiantoro. Salam Dato Zul, how much the dependency to foreign workers will affect the construction industry during this pandemic? Do you have any raw prediction how long a company can survive if the travel restriction is still applied? This is also, I believe, is another doctor here. My answer is that we are actually, as far as concerned industry in the country is concerned, if you're using the conventional method that we are doing at the current moment, it's only 20% IPS. The dependency on the foreign workers could be 80%. I'm a contractor. I only have 20% of local input. The rest of 20% are all foreign friends of mine from Indonesia, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Pakistan, even from Thailand. I'm talking about the one that we are managing now. So the company cannot survive long. The company can survive if at all the government or the other party does not imposing the times for completion, then the company will survive at least another 6 months if this pandemic MOC prolongs. Beyond that, the cost of overhead is too much for them to bear with the very same price that they have tended to. The next question is by Dr. Panel. Can you foresee what immediate challenges that graduate will face during this COVID season? Will this situation, environment of the concerned industry be very different with the new norms? Yes, definitely, Doctor. The first challenge that the graduate supposed to do, if I want to employ what they call a new graduate, I really make sure that they are very good in technologies. One. And two, they are the person who actually, if extra time required to do their work, not at home and not in the office, can do it at home and produce very high levels of quality of works. And third one, I believe that by virtue of technology assisted, this what they call student or going to be employed, expected to produce at least 20% more, because the cost of doing business will be 20 to 30% higher with no increase in cost of paying. So everybody now have to accept at producing 20% more KPI of the output with the same salaries as it is now. And that can only be done by having technologies to assist them. So that's basically my answer. And from Lutfi, force majeure takdir, yeah, that could be another term is acceptable. And then panel again, Mr. Dr. Panel, maybe MC can post in chat. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Another question from Encik Muhammad Faiz. Salam Dato Zul. Waalaikumsalam. How about your opinion, effect industrial training during COVID-19? As to my company, we are not being affected. I'm lucky enough by virtue of the project that I have, which is the frontline job. Very important. It is about what it calls security project. I have not affected much because still in March, even though some of my staff working at home, but majority of my staff until now, even we actually almost 100% working in the office, and we have a special permit to be allowed by virtue of the job that I'm handling because of security in nature. But so as far as industry training is concerned, they will not be affected. But those who actually reducing the time from 5 days to 4 days, they will be affected. That means they will be reducing of exposure on their side. And those who actually not in operation, definitely they have to change to another organization. So that basically that I could answer now through the what I can see from my laptop.
Assalamualaikum.
Is there any other things?
Assalamualaikum, Dato.
Waalaikumsalam.
My name is Mat Asrul Nasib bin Masrom.
Yeah.
I'm a lecturer under Department of Construction Management, Faculty Technology Management and Business from UTHM.
Okay.
All right. It's a great pleasure to see and to watch your sharing this morning. It's very attractive and also resourceful.
Thank you very much.
And it just refreshed my time when I was working as a QS last time before I joined as a lecturer.
Yeah.
I've been working with Juru Kebahan Perdana.
All right.
Just owned by SR Wong Weng Hong and also SR
Alihuddin, yeah.
Hashim Ibrahim.
Hashim Ibrahim, okay.
Yeah. And then I really it's a great information, Dato, in regards to this how actually pandemic affect our construction industry. So saying based on your presentation just now, I have two questions here. The first one, what sort of business recovery plan or strategies that would be effective for the organizations such as contractors, especially for small, medium enterprises, for them to take in order to survive in this pandemic era?
Okay.
And then my second question is, Dato, you presented such a very interesting topic on force majeure. contract issues. So my question is, to what extent these clauses force majeure can be accepted as a reason to grant contractor in order to get extension of time?
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Asrul. You are the QS also.
Yeah, I was a QS.
You are in the departments of engineering. That's good.
Yeah.
Congratulations for that.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to answer the second question first. As far as my experience is concerned and the experience of other principals of other organizations like mine, contractors as well as architects or whatever, to date, as far as government is concerned, yes, you already given the, if I'm not mistaken, about slightly above 3 months EOT straight away. For the private sectors, even though they are not governed by the government's what it calls circulars, but we in the private sectors has used that as our justification for them to be given. And as far as I'm concerned, majority of the private sector also provide slightly above 3 months for extension of time to their contractors. So that means it is a no fault everybody, and nobody want it to be there like that. So they use the government secular as a base so that it applied to everybody in the country. So the fairness is always there. But it's about slightly above 3 months only being given. So that's the answer to the second question. As to the first question, I still believe that the small enterprise companies should group up together because they have lost a lot of capital that they had. And it's not easy to raise capital again, one. And then not easy for them also to go to the bank to raise the capital because they are not in the position to, in a good position to convince the bank that they are in the good business time to be given financing. So in that situation, the best option is for them to group up together so that they can pool their research. That's why in my of the project hospital, I have another hospital that I'm doing somewhere in Negeri Sembilan. I'm using the crowdfunding. That means instead of going for the bank, I'm going for the investors, including the specialist doctors, make them become what it calls a business partners of mine. These specialist doctors who work with these branded hospital is only having their consultants outfit, never been given the opportunity to be what they call shareholders. So I told them, come to my place, you become the consultant for your, let's say, orthopedic of your expertise. At the same time, you are actually the owner of the business, whereby the maternity people getting paid, you also got paid. Unlike now, when people seeing you on the orthopedic, only then you get paid. But those spare part, you never get paid, and that one be given to the owner of the business. So this is the way that I get a crowdfunding. And some of them are already aged. I also put some, told them that you are already old. There's not much left time for you. And if you are passed away, you cannot pass the legacy to your next of kin. So the way that you join with me through the crowdfunding, you can have your own hospital. You can manage together with me, and at the same time, you can anything happen to you, you can pass on this next of kin, and it's become a new venture to them. That's one. But you must remember, get-togetherness of the what they call SME does not reducing of their experience. In fact, they have a better experience because they now, instead of one person, they become 2 or 3 person combined together. It's a combined together experience that make them a better person. So collaborating together is much very important. It is not about 100% own that important to you. It is about the 30% make you have the same amount of thing that you expected if you are stay alone. But stay alone, you cannot survive. You have to be together. On the other part, that there's a lot of companies now in trouble. There's a lot of government, what it calls company also in trouble. Please go scout around. Please go scout around. Go and whisper to the CEO. Go and whisper to the top management, or even go to whisper to the an ordinary staff of those industry or of those company in trouble, and find out what are their problem is. And you feel this is a good take a good thing to take, we better do it. This is the time, the rock bottom price. Instead of purchasing property now, everybody come on, 285 of you. We crowdfunding together. We buy a company. You ever thought today before my talk that after this one, we can have a new company of your own? Please, Maybe 50 ringgit for a student, 5,000 for lecturers. We combine together, we buy one, and we give them bonus every year. And everybody own. Joking aside, I'm just thinking about this is a rock bottom price. Everybody want to dish their company. We better grab it after due diligence being carried out. That's what I'm doing. I hope I can get 2 hospitals in the spread of 10 months that I'm proposing to them. So I think that's all basically. There's some, okay, last one.
I'm sorry,
Dato. Yeah, okay. Is it enough or what?
Uh, here I would like to share the questions asked by the students.
Yes, please.
In these challenges of going through COVID-19, what are the steps that postgraduates need to provide for themselves when engaging the world of construction?
Okay, I got it. It's a very simple, whoever the student and the student of the rest. Two things you must do. Because of this COVID-19, the parameter of business is no longer local, is also global, and we cannot stay in the country. You must be technology savvy. You must be good in English. Please do 2 things for me. You will be better off than the rest. Technology savvy, good English, command and writing. That's all I'm asking. Don't go so difficult. You will be the one be accepted in the, if you ask for a job, because we will ask these 2 things. The moment you'll be able to present yourself, because I found out that according to what it calls one of the second richest men in the world who own newspaper, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett say that 70% of the success of thing is by way of communication and the ability of one to transmit their intention. So no matter how good you are, if you are unable to transmit or make the other party convinced and believe what you say, it is all become a paper that good to be keep to yourself. So able to speak, able to what it calls write in good English. You have a good English, you are already top 10% of the graduate in the country already. Please enter the top 10% by having good English. The moment you have good technology savvy, you are already 25% top of the chances to obtain job in the country. I think that's my answer. Okay, what time now? Wow, not even 12. I think my lecture start at 10:30, should end at 11:30. If you still have a question, then we can pursue. I'm more than willing to answer. If there isn't any, probably we can end up this. I leave it to the what they call the committee, the organizer to decide.
Assalamualaikum, Dato.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alright, ni ada soalan from student, Dato. Alright, ingin bertanyakan satu soalan. Okay, let's say kalau graduan ni yang akan
tak dengar, you ulang sikit.
Alright, clear tak? Alright. Okay, let's say ada graduan yang bakal tamat belajar nanti dan akan bekerja. So bagaimana peluang untuk dapatkan pekerjaan ni memandangkan kesukaran efek daripada pandemik ni?
Okay, those graduate, there are 2 things you must remember in your mind. I'm not going to get job. First, because of the situation. But if you could place yourself the 10% or the 25% that I mentioned just now, yes, you got chance to get job. So what you need to do now, please improve yourself so that you will be in the 10 and 20%, 5% group. Because what is available job in the market probably half of what is used to be before pandemic. So you must be the one in the 50% group by improving yourself of what actually the employer want. And by way how to do it, I already mentioned to you just now the way to do it. Second part, those who take a little bit longer time to get job, please land yourself in any job, be it what it calls restaurant, what it calls attendance, be it a pump station attendant, be it selling what it calls anything. You just do it. If you go even to the construction workers as a laborer, please do experience that. Because the experience that you have can bring you many, many things. One of it that make yourself, what it calls, understand how to interact with people. Make you understand how difficult they are. So that you can become a better person. You're not become a judgmental person when you make decision. And you understand the predicament and difficulties of others that make you a better person in the future. One. Second thing, that you don't waste your time. You earn little bit, then you know how difficult every penny that you get before you spend it. Third thing, you become a better person. Why a better person? You never let yourself down. You always believe what you are having. You always believe that tenaga kudrat yang Allah beri ini, so that you can do things for yourself. Don't rely to your father or parent for survival. You survive yourself. Of course, you can go for technologies, e-commerce and whatnot. Or all in all, what you could do is that you create e-commerce activity, and you go to various restaurants, you go to various outlet, you go to various thing in the kampung, in whatever. You try to improve them, try to educate them. In your kampung, kedai runcit, you become the one Grab there. Your own Grab, 2, 3, 4 kampung. If in Johor, you have parit there, 3, 4 parit dekat-dekat. Once kedai runcit, you ada motor, you make sure you become Grab. You call yourself Wak ke apa ke, doesn't matter. So that you bawa dari kedai tu, you pergi kepada kampung-kampung, 3, 4 kampung ni. That's how you understand people, you understand what kind of product, time and whatnot. These are the simple things you should do, and there are a lot of other things that you can think, as long you make sure your time is valuable to enhance your experience. And that will bring you better person when they call for interview. I would love to have someone who actually undergone that process to be my QS in my country, or to be my engineer or my architect in my multidisciplinary businesses. Because these people are become people who I believe to thick and thin will stay and will become a person who have dignity and would like to be responsible for what they are asking to do. So these are the quality that we look that sometimes you are not aware about. Okay, that's my answer. Okay, kita?
Okay, any question from other participants?
Yeah, I have one question here from Wee Zeman. Good morning, Dato Zul. Can you share with us about your experience and how you can ensure that your hospital is more desirable than the other hospital in the future? All right. This is a very, very good question. And then actually you're already asking for my my business model. But for to share with you, it's like this. Everybody got the question? The question is, good morning, Dato Zul. Can you share with us about your experience on how you can ensure that your hospital is more desirable than the other hospital in the future? All right. Hospital is already a crowded business. There are a lot of people already in the industry. And some banks actually not favorable to give finance. And then why I still want to go to an area already crowded? Why I want to jump into the bandwagon of something is already full in capacity? To a certain extent, there is yes. If I start thinking about what others start think about this on the very same thing, then I will not be going to this particular area. And then it could be the right thing to do. If you are not sure that you can do something about the business. So through my study, I found out that I find difficult to get finance. So I must address how to finance that. Second part, I find out that hospital nowadays is already crowded. But hospital who has a full-fledged, what it calls clusters. What I mean full-fledged clusters, I mean you can see like KPJ and whatnot. If you go to the hospital, you have everything that you have a problem, you can go there. This hospital find it difficult to sustain because every cluster does not bring a good income to them. They might be good having all those things because they become a full-fledged, but business-wise, it's not good. I make to understand that from a study by a specialist that I asked, who was willing to be part with my partner, and he told me that he agreed with my business model, and he said this, if orthopedic were not in one of their activity in those hospitals who what you call provide full-fledged medical services, their operating theater could be 80% not be utilized. So what we need in the industry is actually creating a boutique hospital. That's one. So the hospital that I'm going to build, if God, Allah izinkan, we're going to have 3 or 4 only an important boutique services. And we only employ a partner who actually well-known the industry. Sometimes the place where you have the hospital is not important, but the place who people can come because of who they are. I mean the doctors, the specialists. So the boutique hospital is the one that I'm going to have. Second part is that I'm going to have a specialist well-known. The third part is that I'm going to comprehend my hospital with 30% of them come from part of the Indonesia, especially in Sumatra, by having a joint venture with them. The first early diagnosis is from that side. Then we become a referrals hospital for them to carry out, let's say, all orthopedics. After that, the follow-up session will be carried over the other side. So because in Indonesia, there are thousands of islands, very difficult for every island to have an hospital. And then the hospitals are very far from them. And sometimes going from one island to, let's say, Medan is so much difficult. It's much better from them, from that island, go straight to Kuala Lumpur. And based on research that I've done in Sumatra, they trust our specialists more by virtue of their experience and train in abroad, and as well as local university, and the equipment that we have almost latest in technology. So these are the reason that I'm having with my hospital. With that, I hope that I can be better off, and that it's not repeating the full-fledged hospital problem nowadays. So that's basically my sharing with you, which by right I should not tell you, but never mind. Today I'm good enough to share. Okay, I think that basically the question. Will that be all right?
I think we have another question.
Another question. All right. Okay.
Yeah. As a chairman, what are you looking for in interview for fresh graduate in construction industry?
Of course, the first one that I'm looking at your academic qualification, how you fares with your exam, especially myself who are also close to academic and academic line. I would ask to see your result. Second part, I would like to see personalities. Personalities are very important. Personalities shows that once you have a very good personalities, because you will be representing the company, then that can bring mileage to my organization. Third, of course, I want to tell you how much you understand about your profession, how much you willing to be, and what you actually ascribe to be in the future. So if I really see a very motivational what you call candidate who really wanted to develop themselves to become somebody, and then of the early days of his working, more interested to have knowledge rather than monetary value, I would like to take this candidate, because that's a very important between right attitude and bad attitude. Good result with bad attitude will not bring you to anywhere. But an average student who has a right attitude can make my company become a better company, and for him to represent my company, he will be well accepted by the other parties, and accepting by the other parties is actually bring good to my company. So that basically what I'm looking at if you come for interview in my organization. Okay.
Okay, thank you to the participants who are Thank you to the participants who are asked thoughtful questions, and thank you again to Dato for being willing to answer the questions given.
Thank you. Thank you.
As for the sharing just now, it can be concluded that as the current generation that needs to go through rapid development, we must always be prepared for any challenges that occur. Ladies and gentlemen, requested the cooperation to all audience. Please open the camera for the photography session. Alright, I hope everyone is ready.
Okay, sekejap saya tengah add untuk main speaker kita.
Alright.
Alright, kejap. Okay, keep smiling. 1, 2, 3. Alright. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. To all students and participants that involved, once again reminded to fill the attendance form for the second session, and the link has been provided in the chat room. With this, our first slot has come to an end. Hopefully, the program can provide a positive impact on everyone involved directly or indirectly. Let us close our slot with Tasbih Kifarah and Surah Al-Ars. With this, we thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alright, can I propose that everyone open up your mic if you could and say, give a round of applause to Dato Zul by saying thank you at least. Thank you, Dato Zul, for your time.
Thank you, Dato.
Thank you.
Well done to FTK.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
We miss your Ferrari, Dato.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You were very inspiring.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato' Anzah.
Jumpa lagi petang ke?
Dr. Chan, congratulations. Dr. Pinel,
Thank you everyone.
Azaz, and everyone di FTK. Well done, very interesting sharing dan juga event. Nak kena belajar ni.
Sama-sama kita belajar.
Alright, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay guys, especially the students, if you could join us again in the afternoon ya, untuk sesi seterusnya. Dah dapat pelepasan kan? Alright guys, bye, take care, have lunch and pray now.
Alright guys.
Bye.
Alright,
thank you,
bye. Thank you, well done. Thank you. Oh, well done, thank you.